Hello, everybody. Welcome to the news. I'm Tom Vasel. You know what? We don't need to introduce ourselves again. Let's just get started.
Yeah, let's just, hi, I'm
You're Z.
we're the losers from the game you just watched, us two.
Okay.
Okay? There's Tom, and then there's the people.
Da, 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 da. All right, let's
What do
take a
we
look
got?
at our news. So first of all, there are new games from Funko. So we've been talking recently here in the studio about Target. Target usually releases some games in June. We know a few. We're going to talk about them today, actually. I don't know when this one's coming out exactly, the first one here, but I'm assuming some of this is the June.
Okay.
The Target usually has a whole pile of new games come out in June.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
anyway, there's some kid games. We got this Hidden Mickeys, where you're hiding Mickey markers around the living room, and then you flip cards trying to find one, and then you run and find it. That doesn't sound like a game that I would sell. Like, I could just say, I hid some things, kids, go find them.
Yeah, I mean,
This is a thing that the parks do. That's why they're selling this. The
oh,
hidden, I mean, they don't actually hide anything, but there's like hidden, the
Mickey
with the
Sure,
ears.
I know that that's at Disney World.
Yeah,
and
so
some
they
people
have
are-
it. So you're supposed to find sort of hidden Mickeys all over the place. And they'll hide them in places where you wouldn't think. Like, oh, that ceiling tile. Ah, look, I can see a Mickey in it. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
the age is 4+ on the box. Like, that's what this is, a year-round Easter egg hunt if you want it.
Sure.
Yep.
Then we have Toy Story Talent Show. Again, these are all kids' games. This one in particular, where it's a bunch of challenges. You're bouncing, tossing, roping. I sure hope this is not a remake of the game. There's 100 physical challenges.
Of the game? What do you
game?
mean?
Not the game.
Minute to win it or something, or
Minute to Win It's okay. I never really understood the huge appeal of Minute to Win It because I've done that sort of thing all the time. Like, hey, let me see if I can throw my pen in that cup. Anyway, we're getting way off topic here. I don't know how this is really Toy Story themed from those pictures, other than them just slapping a Toy Story onto a bunch of physical games.
Yeah.
right.
In other words, even though I have kids and I like kids' games, both of these are so far not impressing me at all, really.
Well,
No.
they seem real.
They seem mass market. They don't seem Funkoverse. They seem like Hasbro.
Yeah. These are very much. They feel a little cash grabby. It's like slap a Toy Story license onto, I don't know, living room bowling.
I might be
Let's
wrong,
go.
when we. I'll probably end up trying them out. The next one, similar, Mad Tea Party. Now this one has a much stronger theme, I think, but you're just stacking cups.
That's better. That's way better than the other two sound.
Right. It has a stronger theme to it, I think.
Yeah.
Right,
It
and
looks
you-
pretty. Yeah. It's unified.
This one reminds me, Fun Forge, I think, is the company that has the license for a bunch of little Disney games. They made that Lion Guard cooperative game, which was
Oh,
really
I like that
good.
game, actually.
But then everything else in that line is just kind of like this stuff. So I don't know if that means that, I don't know if they'll continue to make games like that, because games like this have been coming out with Disney things. My daughter has a little cupcake stacking game, and you just stack cupcake pieces together. So this looks better. I think the Mad Hatter one particularly looks better than
Well, this
some
one
of
in
that stuff.
particular, if you don't like the game, your kid has a bunch of little teacups to play with.
That's what the cupcakes is,
Yeah. Right.
All right, and then the last, I think, in this category, we have Mickey and the Beanstalk. Now, this one has this kind of cool-looking beanstalky thing, but again, this one so screams mass market to me.
Yeah. What's going on in there? I'm seeing.
You're trying to collect food from the table, avoiding getting caught. You got to rescue the golden harp, and then you slide down the vine to bring everybody home. It's a 3D game board, and then you have sculpted characters which can spin down the vine.
You actually set them on there, and they'll.
Yeah, they do that thing. Yeah.
Yeah,
Woof.
all mass market.
This one seems very. This screams to me like early '90s Toys R Us. It
Well,
really
I'm
does.
hoping.
I'm sorry.
I'm hoping that we're just not getting good pictures of these and everything, and when the actual games come, but
That's fine. We
Right.
got to try a little harder than what's available already. These games and this experience you can get in Mousetrap.
and just to void off future comments, I realize they're kids games, but I also play tons of kids games, and there's companies like Haba and Game Right and other companies that put
Yeah,
out
Blue
really
Orange.
good kids games
Yeah.
that feel different, cool. These don't look it, but I might be wrong.
They might be, yeah, but they don't look that way.
All right, there's a new board game studio out called Earthborn Games. This is by Andrew Navarro, who was formerly working with Chip Theory Games. So now he has, before that he was with Fantasy Flight. The Fantasy Flight, as I said before, if there's one good thing from the implosion, or in our opinion, the implosion of Fantasy Flight, it's all these new things starting up. And this is another one. He also has the Sadler brothers working with him, and a bunch of other people. I don't know the names of everybody else involved, but it's a whole team. Their first game is going to be called Earthborn Rangers, which is coming to Kickstarter. That's my only little concern, is that they actually named
the studio's called Earthborn and the game is called Earthborn Rangers.
Yeah, that's my only concern.
Yeah, that's not a good idea, I think. But what do I know?
It's better than it just being Earthborn by Earthborn. I don't know. It's something
Sure.
different. I don't know.
Yeah.
Now, their second game is Earthborn Farmers. Earthborn Plumbers.
I like this.
It's a whole series.
Yeah.
But this is a solid team that they got together here, so I'm always excited about new stuff.
Kind of seems like a super group almost, a lot of good names to it.
Now, in a surprise sort of announcement, I mean, I didn't hear much about this before this week or so. Keymaster Games has a new game coming out called Trails, which is a standalone game for parks, but deliberately made for mass market. It's coming to Target on June 20th, which is 10 days from now.
Yeah.
So, and I will likely, once again, go to Target and see Zee there.
Yeah, you know what? I think you will, because this looks really neat. I watched a video of how to play it. It seems fun. Certainly, sort of steps a little closer to that mass market feel, or, where the components are probably a little cheaper. They went with just wooden cubes for the resources and whatnot. But this looks like a fun little game. I liked the vibe. I mean, the MSRP on this is $19.99. That's cheap.
Yep.
So, yeah, I think I will grab a copy. This is a nice little surprise, and this will be one of those Target games too. So,
And it fits nicely with the idea of it being kind of a gateway game, or a welcoming game, as people might call it, because there's literally, this is not a smaller version of, but it's related to parks. So it's easy for someone to see this, say, hey, I liked this. What else is there like it? It's going to have a little advertisement inside. Try parks.
I'm sure it will.
Yeah.
Now, this one we know is going to Target. The other ones I'm just guessing. I don't think Funkoverse announced where they're going or when they're coming out.
Okay.
It just seems like that would make sense.
That's a good guess,
Yeah.
All right, they call it big news. I'm not sure if I feel like it's big news or not. And this is The Hunger. This is a new game from Renegade Games. It's a deck building game, and the big thing from them is that it is Richard Garfield, who's the designer. It's a deck building game. It's a 2 to 6 player game, and you are trying to feed on humans. It's a vampire game that has a much lighter look than most vampire games do.
It almost has that yellow look.
That is definitely one of the artists that works with yellow. I'm sorry. If it's not, they are an amazing... Their style then is very much similar. Doesn't that look like the same person who did like the Big Book of Madness and like all those yellow games?
Yeah. Well, I looked up the artist, and I don't think it's the same person. I think this might be one of their first board game pieces of art they've done.
Really?
At least through some of the clicking. It looks sharp, which is good.
Yes.
And also looks kind of familiar. So, but not
I get it.
not in an
sharp
overwrought way.
Like the familiar.
Well,
like
there's 2 artists for the game mentioned on Board Game Geek, and one of them, Marta Ivanova, did the art for Furnace.
Oh.
Yeah, which is
That's a very different look.
And the other one, Jocelyn Jock Millett, did the art for Korra, Rise of an Empire, which is yellow.
Oh, okay.
And Sea of Legends, that big giant pirate game.
Yeah, I'm sorry. This is that look. Sea of Legends
This looks like the Sea of
Big Book
Legends.
of Madness. It's like
Okay.
they have the same look.
So, all right. Well, I'm cautiously optimistic. I think Richard Garfield's an amazing designer. I think he's one of the best designers in history.
Yeah.
Not just for Magic. He did Netrunner. He did Robo Rally. But he has also had a few major clunkers. I'm assuming this will be good. I mean, he also did King of Tokyo. It's probably good.
Has he done a deck building game? Not a trading or
No.
collectible game. This is a deck building game.
No,
Isn't,
everything he's
the
done
Rabbit
is...
one's not a deck building game?
No, it's a drafting
drafting.
game.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? Now to think of it, he has way more positive than negative games for me.
Yeah.
So
I'm
of course,
optimistic.
yeah. Hey, this looks neat to me. I'm not even a big deck building fan, but I like the look of this quite a bit. I do like the artwork. I like the idea of those cards. They showed that illustration with a few of the cards, and I'm excited. I want to check this out.
Yeah.
It looks good.
All right, in other Z news, Pandemic Hot Zone Europe has been announced, sort of. I
Haven't
feel
we
like
known
this has
about
been
this, or-
spoiled a long time ago, or at least. Anyway, they've officially announced it. It's the second in a series of 6 titles, because they're apparently doing every continent.
And then the moon.
Antarctica's probably not going to
I
get its own
assume,
game.
it's going to be one. There's one city, and the rest is just white.
Penguin Breakout.
And it's a flicking game where you flick slowly towards that one city.
Okay. Now, Z, you gave the first one a somewhat middling review, right? You said to essentially, why
It's
play this when
fine.
you can
It's
play
like-
Pandemic?
Yeah, that's part of it. It's like a 6 or a 7. I wouldn't say I was downturning, turning it down or downturning it. Yeah, but it also, I thought that the sort of the gap between the full game and the little one was a smaller gap than say between like Ticket to Ride and Ticket to Ride New York. That seems like a bigger gap to me.
Sure.
And so they're going to continue these. The cool thing about it is, which might then make some folks perhaps reconsider or decide to collect them all, is that each one's going to have some little variant you can choose to put in there to up the complexity slightly. So like the mutating virus or whatever. And those you can cross them between the games. So I can take the small variant that comes in this, virulent strain, whatever it may be, and then put it in America. I can even take the one from America and the one from this and put them both into one game and make that game a little bit harder. So that's a neat idea.
You can also switch the characters. I think it's a new
The
set of characters.
characters, the characters, you can take them from one game to another. And above and beyond that, the weird new thing is this idea of playing 2 continents at the same time, where one player or several players will start in America, and some players start in Europe, and you can take actions to leave one board and go to the other one.
And you each have 3 characters on your board. So me and Z are playing. I have 3 characters. You have 3 characters, and we can go. That sounds really cool.
It sounds
interesting.
neat. Mechanically, I want to see it working first. See
Right.
what's going on exactly. But
But that sounds like when you combine 2 of these,
yeah.
that sounds as good as Pandemic then almost.
Then you're starting to
Maybe,
get into
yeah.
some more interest. Yeah.
When they say that there's going to be 6, obviously, in the line, so I assume that for, I don't know, generally they're going to say mix 2, maybe, is kind of what it sounds
Probably. I
like.
assume that's the deal.
But someone is going to make a mega game of this at a
They're all,
convention.
you're at 6 people sitting around.
It's going to be Model UN.
I'll come by and be like,
Yes.
wow, that's really cool you guys are doing this. We got an extra seat. Nah!
You have fun.
All right. I'm really excited about this next piece of news, and that is Port Royal Big Box, which is weird because I'm almost never excited about a big box these days.
Oh, sure.
But the Port Royal Big Box looks like it's the size of Carcassonne, which I'm okay with. I love Port Royal. The worst thing about Port Royal is the art isn't that great. This is better art.
Oh, they did change it, huh?
Well, look at that box cover. That's,
Yeah. Okay.
That looks good. It includes the original game plus 2 of the expansions, the Gambler promo card, who cares about that, and the new standalone game, Port Royal Unterwegs, which I've had and never played. Or maybe I did play it, I don't remember.
Well, there's a
But
co-op thing in there, I think. It's one of those where you have the big cards.
it's
There's a
a,
bunch of stuff that's
it's a
for Port
push your luck
Royal
game,
now.
and it's fantastic. I really like Port Royal.
This is one I've never played. I've played most of Pfister's catalog, and so I'm excited to try this one out. Also, the artist is so far unattributed for this one. It looks very inspired by Clemens Franz. If it's not actually him, I can't tell. But look at that. That cover's gorgeous.
Yeah, that cover looks really good. Those colors are extremely popping and
Yeah.
vibrant.
Yeah.
Because Steve Jackson started, they were going to make Port Royal, in America, and that kind of fizzled out. It didn't make enough money, so they dropped it.
They did make one, right?
They made the original game,
Yeah,
and
it
then they
looked
never.
horrific. I remember that.
Yeah.
Because it was like the box looked like they hadn't put artwork on. It was just a figure, right? Just a person standing there.
But I think the cards was the same as
Same
the
as
original
other
one.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
This looks great.
In small news, I guess, Tales of Arabian Nights. So, Steve Kimball, who's the head of Z-Man Games, has been writing a lot of essays about stuff, and he talked about this game, Tales of Arabian Nights, and how they were going to redo it. And the designer of this game was actually working with a publisher, another publisher, he didn't say who, and then that fell through.
Okay.
They were going to redo the game somehow, some way. But since it did fall through, Z-Man Games is going to publish like a small print run that you can get right now. So you can get the same game, the original one of which is close to 20 years old now.
So are they saying they're going to reprint a few of these and then put out a reworked version?
Well, he says this is happening because of a bump in the road to a rebooted version of a game with another publisher. From what was hinted by somebody, that it might be, the new edition might be on Arthurian Legends. And I would give credence to that because that was told to me a decade ago.
Interesting.
And I was super excited about that because I love Arthurian Legends. It would fit really well in this thing. And a reboot would not be a bad thing. There's some streamlining that could be done to the game for sure.
Yes. So this is a straight up reprint.
This is a straight up reprint, but if you've been looking for this game.
Yeah, okay, so there's a limited print of these available soon or now.
Yeah, it's kind of cool.
Yeah, I like it. I like the limited engagement sort of idea of this. That works.
Yeah.
It's a different kind of FOMO, I guess, but also this game is so old, it doesn't trigger the same part of the brain. Like, oh, you're going to miss this brand new thing. No, it's like, this is old thing. We're going to feature it for one night only kind of show. We're bringing the band back together. That's nice.
I got it in the Dice Tower library, so. All right, Arkham Horror card game. Z likes this one a lot.
I do.
They have been putting out their expansions in small blister packs.
Mythos packs.
Sorry, Mythos packs.
Mythos!
Blister Mythos.
Yes.
Myth Blist. Anyway, I don't know.
That's probably the name of a fantasy world, and you know it. Myth Blist.
Anyway.
Like it.
The Reckoning.
So you would buy it, and I think they came in an arc. You get 3, was it?
No, so the way it works is you buy the beginning of the cycle. That's sort of like the medium box, if you know what I'm talking about. And that's got the characters for the new cycle, so new characters you can be.
Cycle's like a story.
Yeah, basically. Cards to build decks with and all that jazz. And then parts 1 and 2 of whatever that new story arc is. Once that's done, then once a month they would come out with a Mythos pack. And it would be a few more player cards. And then the next chapter, so like part 3, would be the first of those blister packs. And that goes up to the 6th blister pack, which is 8 chapters.
Okay.
Right, 2 in the box and the other 6. So this product, and from what they're saying going forward, changes that distribution model. They are now going to be 2 boxes. One of them packs the characters and the entirety of the cycle for deck building cards, player cards. So that's the smaller of the 2 there. That's everything that goes on your side, so, for the player stuff. And then the other box there, Edge of the Earth, is the entirety of the story.
Wait, do you have to buy both then?
You do not, because those 2 things are not necessarily related.
Oh, I see. So you can
just
buy the
have
story
new
and play with the
characters.
characters from the original game.
Absolutely, yeah.
Ah, okay.
And the other one's just the campaign, the story, so you
That's
can
right,
play your
yeah. So
existing stuff.
if you're perfectly happy with your decks, you don't want any more deck building content, you don't need more characters, you can just get Edge of the Earth, the big box, and you have a new story. The entire thing. If you just want more deck building stuff, you can do that and get the other one.
This seems like a good idea.
It seems like a neat idea. It will slow down. I mean, it definitely keeps down that sort of chasing the Mythos packs. Because sometimes they go out of print for a little bit and you're like, oh no, 3 and 5 are available, but not 4. I think this will be nice. It does put some more space in between one release and the next because they got to make this thing. So I
also thinking about
like the way
storage.
this is coming. Yeah, storage will be good. I like the way this is being delivered. I'm happy to get the entire campaign right now. I am worried that the big time period between one and the next might hurt the game a little bit.
So this is Netflix releasing the entire season at once.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I like it, man, and I like this setting. So this is one they hadn't done yet, but the whole Arctic thing, you know.
The cold stuff. Is that what's the guy who lives down there?
Ithaca.
or something like that?
Yeah. It's like a big Yeti
Ithaca?
looking thing.
Ithaca, New York.
Ithaca, New York.
That's the edge of the Earth right there. Ithaca, New York.
Yes.
All right, let's jump to the very different extreme here now. From Ryan Lockett, Red Raven Games. We've already knew this was coming, now or never. We know this because there was a promo in our Kickstarter for this game. But it's not going to Kickstarter. You can pre-order it right now. So this is I thought was pretty interesting news. Ryan Lockett is not using Kickstarter or GameFound for now or never. He's just going to pre-order it. That's what Stegmeyer did with Stonemaier Games. Went and you could pre-order stuff. Is this a permanent thing? I don't know how this will change stuff. I'm also super excited about this game. I love Near and Far. This is a direct sequel to that game.
Right.
I also love the name of this. I love the cover. I'm so excited.
It's really cool. There's actually a trailer for it where Ryan Lockett kind of narrates what the game's about.
Wait, he does a narration too?
Yeah, well, yeah,
I'm just kidding. He probably did the music in the background.
The music, I believe, might be his spouse. So
yes, his wife is the one playing the piano. So
they are
it's
a very
cool
talented couple. They do everything. I mean, it's insane.
But it's a very economic driven kind of game. Whereas I haven't played the other two, but they're more adventurous, right? So this is a sequel. So I don't know if you need to have watched the previous 6 Spider-Man movies to understand what's going on here.
They're not related like that, unless this is the new move. But they
they
haven't been like that before.
This is like hundreds of years later or something.
So it shouldn't matter. Like, you can definitely play Near and Far without having played Above and Below, and you can do whatever you want with these.
Yeah.
Cool.
But they're good.
All right, we've been doing a lot of negative news in the past year about conventions. Here's some positive ones. BGG Con has been announced. BGG Spring of 2000 was canceled. Was one of the first conventions to be canceled. Was canceled, and they didn't do any BGG Cons last year. They didn't do Spring this year. But normal BGG Con is happening. It's still 5 months away. It's in November. They are obviously working with COVID and stuff, but the fact is we don't know what life's going to be like in 5 months. So they're very optimistic about this. They have 1,700 badges that were carried over already, but they're going to open it up to 2,500. And then they said if conditions continue to improve like they've been improving, they'll add another 1,000 badges. It's a big con. So 3,500.
How close is Dallas to Amarillo? I'm amping up for one of those 72-ounce steaks.
If you're in Dallas, there's big enough steaks there. You don't need
Fine.
You'll be fine. All righty, well, that's the news.